Because she was upset that that was the definition, as she felt it diminished her efforts. Well, I could be upset about the definition of middle age, but it doesn't mean that it's not the definition, you know? I mean, Tim, when people say things like that, when they're upset about definitions, you know, that's kind of like very, like, it's like magical thinking, you know? Like, if that wasn't the definition, you know, like if somebody had a definition about it being, you know, 9 times a year, then it would be better. Then your marriage would somehow be better. That is like not true at all. And if you go along with this bullshit about setting the frame of if it's sexless or if it's not sexless according to the clinical definition, it doesn't matter. Like, that does not matter. So I guess the point would be to say something assertively, like, while that is the clinical definition, and you can look that up if you'd like, even if it were 15 times a year, I am still unhappy. You know, I'm very unhappy because sex is not part of our marriage regularly. And I appreciate your efforts thus far. We certainly do need to work on this, though, with somebody else, maybe with a therapist or a coach. And I appreciate your efforts, but they're not really reaching threshold for me because sex really is not part of our relationship. It's just a hot button topic that makes you upset, but it's not, that isn't what I want. It's not what you want, you know? And so when couples are arguing about things like the clinical definition of a sexless marriage, that is, that's not the issue. That's just not the issue. You know, what the issue is that you want a marriage that is romantic in quality, and she does not. And so you could say, take sex off the table. You know, are we doing like loving things? Are we romantic? Are we cuddling? You know, because I'll tell you they're not. Because in a sexless marriage, there isn't romance. Those feelings are somewhere else. It's family, it may be friendship, but it is not a romantic connection. And, you know, if you want the marriage to involve a romantic connection, then maybe you need to stay in that realm, you know, and say, we could be having sex a couple more times a year, or maybe even a couple times a month. But you don't seem to really be into this being a romantic relationship. So that's kind of, maybe I've misspoken, but that's my problem. My problem is that you perceive this as a non-romantic partnership, and I would like to have a romantic partnership. So it's possible that we're not well suited, you know, and we ought to explore that with somebody. We ought to go to therapy. We ought to do something, you know, because obviously we only get one life, and both of us feel very thwarted and very frustrated in this current setup. So that is what I would advise you to say. And if that's very tough, then you got to get into couples counseling to say it in the first place. You know, and as I've said so many times, if somebody doesn't want to get divorced right that second, they are going to go to couples counseling, even if they whine about it, because you're basically, if you draw a line in the sand, then they'll go, unless they want to get divorced right that moment. And if somebody wants to divorce you over you wanting to go to couples counseling, think about what the future of that marriage is. That's not a partner, you know? So, I mean, it's a lot to think about, obviously, for anybody in this situation. I do have to go. I have a client. Remember, if y'all ever need a therapist or a coach, go to Best Life Behavioral Health. That's my group practice. Not everybody can work with me directly, but I read your email and then I refer you, and I recommend people. It's starting at $275 intake and $250 ongoing for the people at my practice. And I always give you a personalized recommendation. If you cannot work with me directly, bestlifebehavioralhealth.com. Join my secret Facebook group for more interaction, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.